the money is coming in so that we can pay it back.
That's correct.
Now, we only pay back if they fail, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, now finally, the idea of the TIF, because I think pipes on the ground, some of the money supposed to be used for the TIF for piping and...
There is a TIF plan in place, and we have encouraged the developer actually to change their project so that they could use the TIF rather than trying to use the route that they're doing. And here's what we would, I think we would eventually have to recommend to you is that the city of Jackson can use TIF funds to do infrastructure work if they would like to do it that way.
Yeah.
But because the county is going to need the tax revenue off of the project to justify putting $13 million into it, we would recommend that you do not participate in the TIF. So, exactly. So, and we'll have to, until we have all of the numbers and everything that we need, we really can't give you the recommendation, but because of the amounts of the projects, we can generally see.
What's the city's agreement?
Well, they see that's not there. We've talked with Mr. Brookins with JRA several times, and he has indicated that he would be talking with the mayor to find out if the city is going to be willing to guarantee the payback of the loan. To date, I don't think that meeting has taken place, so we don't know exactly what's going on.
I'll talk to you offline. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Mr. Fisher.
Wallace, you mentioned basic papers and Excel spreadsheets. How long have you been waiting for those documents?
Well, this last round, we've been waiting at least probably 6 months. And the documents should be, I'm assuming the documents would be readily available other than the documents that they say are being provided by a consultant. And we understand that consultants may not want to give it, but it does not change our requirement that it has to be submitted. So they will either have to build those spreadsheets and submit them to us, or if our board or this board requests that we do it, we will do it, but we will have to charge them to do that work because it would be a considerable amount of work.
I'm just thinking the longer this takes and the more difficult it is to get the basic information that's required, brings concern in my mind if there are questions about this project and the financial end of it that still need to be answered. And that perhaps the county is certainly trying to accommodate the needs of the city of Jackson in this project. I think we've gone as far as we can go without Old Capitol Green coming up with the necessary paperwork and showing us that they're actually serious about doing more than a cooler in the parking lot. Until they do that, I think this needs to just sit to the side. It's not really on us to bring this forward, it's on them. And if they're not giving you the basic information that you need in a format that you can use, I have to question their commitment to this project and perhaps even their willingness to be forthright in giving us the information.
Well, I will agree that until the documentation is submitted and that it can be properly analyzed and all of the other components like the financing for the remainder of the project and other things, we won't be able to go any further than where we are. So we're, the developers here, we're just waiting on the submittal from the developer.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Stokes, continue.
Mr. President, we have Mr. Shepard here now. Mr. Shepard, we put it on the agenda to discuss all the Capitol Green to try to get an update. Now, we have some questions from me. We get copies made that we can put in your hands because I know in a meeting that people from New York had, they wanted to break ground. I think they said the end of April. Was it April?
June now.
End of June, I'm sorry. Now, it's my understanding what we hear today that some requested paperwork has not come. And we need to know what's the city's responsibility and role going to be in this. What would it take to make this a reality?
Exactly what we're doing now. We had a meeting with MDA last week with Kathy Gelston, who clarified all of the processes for securing the loan from MDA. I received an email from Blake, I think Thursday.
It was last week.
Yeah, Thursday is last week. And so that we're responding to that information now. The process that we're undertaking right now is, one, MDA is submitting to us a draft loan agreement. At the same time, we're working with the city, who has agreed through the Jackson Redevelopment Authority, we still have to get the council's approval, to purchase the garage from the county at the end of the 7-year new market tax credit period. Please excuse me, I had to pick some people up from the airport and take them to my office for a meeting today on Old Capitol Green, so I'm still running just a little bit. And so that's what it would take. We've already submitted the same information to the JRA, to the City of Jackson, so this is nothing new with the submittal and the information. We've also provided the same information to Hinds County, so it's not a major stumbling block. We've already released a lot of information, and we will release whatever is required to make this project work.
That if you could help us with, if we could get those answers, I think leaving us to feel a lot more comfortable. We just presented to you today, not for you to answer, not for you to speak to today, but just so we can try to have something right. And we'll bring this item back because we know that if we can get Old Capitol Green up and going, the benefit to this county is going to be tremendous in terms of tax monies, in terms of growth, jobs, and everything else.
Yes, we've released the job numbers. Of course, all of the numbers changed because we downsized the project. We've gone from 184 residential units to 129 residential units. We've gone from 225,000 square feet commercial office building to an 88,000 square foot office building. We've reduced the size of it. If you would recall, the parking garage was 888 stalls. Well, with the downsized building, we don't need a garage that large. And we're looking at one that's about 480 stalls to 525. So the meeting this morning that we're having is with Yates Construction Company, the construction manager, Boomerang, the supplier of the robotic equipment, to come up with the new numbers. One of the reasons we haven't given new numbers is because downsizing the facility requires us to develop a new estimate. And that's what we're working on now.
Now, the 13 million that you look from the county, that's for the parking garage?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, but it was a total package of 20 million, is that correct?
24 for the chill water plant and the automated garage.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Do you have any other issues? Thank you very much, Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. And I do apologize for being late this
No
morning.
problem. Mr. Shepherd, do you have any other issues under your name?
Mr. President, the mosquito item, I'm going to hold it because the issue we're dealing with in terms of the bill is going to take precedence. And to discuss that would not put us where we need to be. But the discussion youth detention center, Mr. President, I put that on the agenda because it was brought to my attention that the city contemplated not paying the agreement with us in terms of the youth detention center. And it was the legal department explained to them that it's important that they pay. But I think it's important that we get a copy of this contract. And let's look at it, let's study it. And again, there also might be some grounds an avenue to kind of explore in terms of trying to get the city to recognize that there's got to be a team effort. And they're going to have to help the county a little more. The county just don't have the resources to carry the youth detention center and the jails and everything along. It's just too much on our back in the city. Once we talk to them, not trying to force them to do anything, but trying to get them to understand that they got to help the county if we're gonna, have detention facilities that's gonna be up to snuff, so to speak. Even though the city said they're not in the jail business, they are indirectly in the jail business because most of the people in jail are from the city. So they're in the jail business like the county's in the jail business, and I think the overall goal is to make sure that this county and all the municipalities and all the unincorporated areas are safe. So, to make a long story short, if we can get a copy of that contract with the youth detention center between the city and the county, and hopefully that everybody look at it and find out when it was last approved, and maybe we can get on the city's agenda to try to get a meeting of the minds and find out can we get some help instead of them saying that they're not going to pay us and it's already hard on the county. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stokes. That's an issue that we've discussed for several months, and the attorney will provide you with a copy of the legal agreement that we have. And under the legal agreement, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to speak for the attorney, I don't think that the city has any alternative as to whether or not they should pay for that particular item. But we will get that information to you as well as supervisors. We will now continue with the printed agenda. We'll go directly to our county administrator, Carmen.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item on the agenda is related to unclaimed bodies. There are no unclaimed bodies for your consideration today. The second item will be from Mr. Dan Gibson, our risk management consultant, with one item for your consideration.
Good morning. Mr. Gibson, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, honorable members of the board. I have an item on the agenda this morning concerning a 2010 Ford Crown Victoria police unit which was involved in an accident on February the 16th, 2012 on I-220. And the vehicle was ruled a total loss, and the county negotiated with the company Zurich to retain the vehicle for a backup unit to be used by Mr. Robinson and the staff at Central Repair to make repairs to other county vehicles. And so we need your approval to approve the settlement agreement where the county will retain the vehicle for use by Central Repair.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? So moved. It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
How much was the settlement amount then?
The settlement amount was $7,805.52.
Resolved to approve the settlement to settle a claim with Zurich on a 2010 Ford Crown Victoria, and the settlement amount is $7,805.52, and for the county to retain the salvage title to the vehicle.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there a question for Mr. Stokes?
Thank you. Ms. Gibson, I'm not going to even say that many words about it. We need your help.
Yes,
Trying to reduce the health costs. Now, I know last time you spoke to us.
Yes.
Now, is that not your responsibility, or is it part of your overall job in the county?
Supervisor, it's whatever you say it is. And if you want my help, I am here to help. And you have
I wish it was that easy.
you have a very good staff here in the Human Resources Department, and I have told them and will again that I'm available to help them in any way.
When will the contract come up again?
It will come up in the fall, I believe November 1st.
Could we possibly, before we even sit out for bids or votes, start talking to people or companies and explain what we have and try to get some reasonable? I know the city is saying 400 something, maybe we can't get that, but every employee, if you just talk to employees, that says too much, and you're forcing them to either become deadbeats in terms of not being able to pay, or bankrupt or something. The deductible is just too high.
Yes, sir.
I even talked to University Medical Center, one of their people. Could we maybe do a contract with them that we'll send all our county employees to the university and we pay something to them? I'm just saying, just explore other options for what we have today.
Yes, sir. And in fact, I am meeting with the county administrator in the morning, and I will discuss that matter with her. And because I certainly understand the issue, I will let you know I've had 2 conversations with United Healthcare since you brought that issue to my attention, and they have expressed an interest also in working with the county. But obviously, I don't go out on that path without proper instruction and our guidance, and I will look to the county administrator for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
And well noted.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Calhoun.
I believe the difference between the city and the county is the city of Jackson can afford to pay more of the employees' premium cost than the county can. So that's the difference.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go any, go ahead.
Mr. President, just to give you a brief report on inmate medical, I always like to kind of bring you up to date. We are still running very good.
Okay.
We are running actually under a few thousand under what we did at this point last year. And I will tell you that we are currently, as of March, running $65,000 less in pharmacy and over $40,000 less in our inpatient, outpatient medical expense. We have had, of course, the increased contract with Dr. Reddix, and so we've been working to offset that. And they've been treating more patients in-house. And in March, we had a very low rate of hospitalization. We only had 6 days in the hospital. And with a 1,000 inmate population, that's a very good month.
Okay.
And Mr. President, I will tell you, Gulf Guarantee continues to give us above an 80% reduction in their repricing. During the month of March, there was a total charge of $387,000. However, after discounts, the county only paid $64,000.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good news, and we appreciate you bringing that update. Before we go any further, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our Honorable Sheriff of Hines County, Sheriff Tyrone Lewis, and just wanted to see if you have any other issues other than the one that we're going to discuss in the executive session.
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you for being here. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Yes, next on the agenda will be from Mr. Blake Wallace with 2 items for your consideration.
We have 2 reimbursement requests this morning. Both are from the bond fund number 385. The first one is for site planning at the Sonny McDonald Industrial Park in the amount of $2,675 payable to WEIMS2 LLC.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
Result to approve a reimbursement request in the amount of $2,675. Invoice number LLC-038-SMCD, paid March 30, 2012 for the Sonny McDonald Industrial Park. This is reimbursement from the 1994 GEO Bond Fund, Fund 385, Engineering Architect fees payable to WEIMS2 LLC for advertising, bidding, and/or construction engineering and environmental litigation services.
Okay, Mr. Wallace, continue.
Okay, and the second invoice is to the same company coming from the same fund in the amount of $983.25, and this is for site planning, engineering work, geotechnical engineering at the Hines County Agritech Park.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of? Opposed to?
No.
Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
Result to approve a reimbursement request in the amount of $983.25, invoice number 10013, paid March 30, 2012, for the Aerotech Park from the 1994 GEO Bond Fund number 385, engineering architect fees payable to WEIMS2 LLC for geotechnical engineering.
Okay, Mr. Wallace, continue.
That's it.
Okay, Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is from Mr. Darrell McClure, Director of Permit and Zoning, with 1 item for your consideration.
Good morning, Mr. President, Board of Supervisors. We have 1 case to present to you this morning, case U-1705, the Barnett family, and they are present. They're requesting to rezone the property from commercial C3 to agricultural for the purpose of placing a mobile home. The property consists of 10.8 acres located on the east side of Anderson Road between Goat Hill Road and Askew in District 2. Planning Commission granted this petition by a vote of 8 yeas. There was no public opposition.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of?
Question, Mr. President.
Question from Mr. Stokes.
Thank you. Reverend McCoy, we have a position open in District 5. We had a gentleman who wanted to put on there. His question was, when does this board meet? The planning commission.
It meets the last Tuesday of every month
At what time?
at 2 o'clock.
How long normally does the meetings occur? He has a job, and he wants to make sure that it's not going to conflict with his job.
Depending on the number of requests that we have, I would say an average meeting would be 30 to 45 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor of? Yes. Opposed to? Motion passes. Will clerk please read the order?
Resolved to approve petitioner's request to rezone their property from commercial district C3 to agricultural district for the purpose of placement of mobile homes. This property consists of 10.8 acres located on the east side of Anderson Road between Goat Hill Road and Askew Road in District 2. The Planning Commission granted this petition by a vote of 8 ayes. There was no public opposition.
Okay.
Mr. President, Mr. Stokes' question. How would that affect the tax roll?
I'll allow someone else to speak, but it does change it from commercial, which is at a higher rate, to agriculture, which is the lowest rate. I don't know the exact numbers that would be.
Anybody? I know normally.
We probably address that better than anybody else.
Hold on 1 second. Mr. Lewis, can you speak to that?
Yes, once you change the classification of property that is owned in the county, the only effect would have is the establishment there. It's based on what's the building there. If it's for residential use, it's based on residential use taxes. If it's commercial use, it's based on commercial use. But the classification of the land doesn't change the taxes of the property.
Okay, so in other words, they're going to put a mobile home on the property.
Right.
So we'll get residential.
It'd be taxed as residential.
Versus
Right.
commercial.
Right.
Okay, but we will keep an eye on this property because sometimes people, use this as a way to make the taxes go down, but they don't use the property for what they're saying. So y'all will watch to make sure that it's going to be used.
Yes, this particular property is located in the rural area, and it is the only commercial property in that area, and it was zoned commercial because at that time the previous owners were intended to use it for a animal kennel, to raise dogs in that area, but it has never been used for that purpose, but it was rezoned at that time. So it's not a building or any structure that business is operating out of.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Stapes, continue.
Yes. The next few items we have is from human capital development and purchasing. However, I don't believe there are any items for consideration. Next will be Ms. Lily Woods with budget and finance with amendments for your consideration.
Good morning, President Graham and members of the board. I would like your approval this morning on the budget amendments. These amendments represent departmental requests to transfer funds based on the explanations provided with each amendment in compliance with GASB 34. And there are no amendments that impact the general fund's unappropriated surplus.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? Been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
Resolved to approve budget amendments. These amendments represent departmental requests to transfer funds based on the explanation provided with each amendment in compliance with GASB 34. There are no amendments that impact your general fund appropriated surplus.
Mr. Stokes, you have a question?
Yes, Ms. Woods, with gas going up and down, we got the tax assessor, we got the sheriff's department, and others. What's your projections? I'm talking about in the future. I know we can start working on a new budget. How do we overcome this increase that we're seeing in gasoline? Do we drive fewer cars? What do you see to keep us in budget?
Well, we will look at each department individual. Some departments may be able to work within their budget to maintain their gas expenses.
Have you checked on fuel man in terms of
We
the
have,
usage?
and Mr. Robinson keeps us abreast of the fuel man charges. And
Is
they
that
are lower
increase?
than, they have increased, but they are lower than the normal prices that we would see at the pump ourselves.
What percentage of increase?
Probably Mr. Robinson would better be able to tell us the exact percentage increase. I don't think he's here. Oh, there he is.
Good morning.
Come on.
In terms of increase, we go from sometimes from 10 cents, sometimes we go from 15 cents, sometimes we go 25, it just depending on, the market and, it escalates. It just depends. As of right now, we're paying somewhere around about $3.75, sometimes 65, sort of up and down per gallon.
And in terms of the percentage compared to last year's, or even last month's, you see is the amount of money we spending is 10% more, 5% more. What percentage?
I would say right now, since we had a pretty good increase right now, I'd say at least about 20%, 25% increase from last year.
But monetary, we got the money in the budget.
Each department budget their own part.
And you monitor them and nobody's going that way.
Yeah, we monitor them every week. Basically what we get a printout every week, which comes out on Tuesday. And what we do, we provide each department, what each usage of, will be. Sheriff department, zoning permit, all the departments that using vehicles.
Okay.
So I can provide you with some
No,
information.
sir, you asked questions. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. There are no emergency purchases to report, and there are 2-minute exceptions. However, no board action is required. That concludes the county administrator items.
Thank you. We'll now go to the board attorney, Ms. Crystal Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I addressed one resolution with the board earlier, and the only other items I have are for executive session, a litigation matter as well as the matter pertaining to the federal detention center.
Okay. Thank you very much. And we'll now go to the road manager, Mr. Paul Reeves.
Good morning, Mr. President, board members.
Good morning.
First item I have is approval for the Public Works Department to assist with the East View Beautification Club neighborhood cleanup on April 21st.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Will the clerk please read the order?
Resolved to approve the Public Works Department to assist with the East View Beautification Club cleanup, neighborhood cleanup on April 21, 2012. Is this supposed to be for Eastview and Columbus? I'm sorry.
That area, it's all of that.
Oh, it's
Those
all-
streets are within the East View Club
And
community.
this is for the use of a dump truck and how many employees?
Two dump trucks and 2 employees.
2 dump trucks and 2 employees. Okay.
Continue, please.
Let me ask this question.
Mrs. Calhoun.
Would it be more cost efficient if we were to use one dump truck and let that dump truck go and unload and then come back?
Well, actually, it's a dump truck and a boom truck. The boom truck has a electronic, mechanical arm that actually picks up items such as white goods, refrigerators. So it's very helpful to have both.
Mr. President,
Mr. Stokes.
Supervisor Calhoun, these cleanup, do they bring all the trash and debris from one location?
To the landfill.
No, I'm talking about, when these communities have to clean up, do they bring all the debris from one location, or
They really put out the door.
they put them in front of their homes, door to door, and then the county will come door to door to pick it up, or Okay, I just asked because I think that's wonderful, especially, spring of the year when people begin to see an increase in rodents and everything else. Do you get, what kind of participation?
Normally, the sheriff supplies inmates, so he's very helpful in that matter.
In terms of the residents, do most of the residents participate? Okay, all right.